Today is June 8th, 2022. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, as you can tell, I'm at a different venue this week, or today, I should say, and I am on the road in Paw Paw, Michigan, and I'm going to be talking with a friend, Dr. Jack Bley, a retired veterinarian, doctor of veterinary medicine, I guess is the better way to say it. First of all, very briefly, just give me a little background of your life, where you're from, your education, things like that.
Grew up in Chicago. My hero in high school was a biology teacher, so I wanted to be a biology teacher when I grew up. At that time, Vietnam War was going on when I graduated from college with a veterinary degree, with a bachelor's degree, and went off in the Navy, came back and got accepted into veterinary school, and then went into dairy practice, and ended up back in the military, taking care of animals and biomedical research, and eventually ended up traveling all over the world, and finally ended up in Michigan working for Upjohn in biomedical research. Finished there and got a good job teaching at Kalamazoo Valley Community College, teaching human physiology, where my two favorite subjects were immunology and reproductive physiology. So I've got, I think, a pretty good background in understanding what the meaning of reproduction is.
Now, I understand something happened in 1967 that may have changed your life, at least in this area of reproduction. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I grew up a Catholic, went to Catholic school and never paid much attention to right to life issues back then. But I was taking an embryology course in 1967, and we did an experiment where we took the eggs from a sea urchin, female, and a sperm from the male, and we combined them under a microscope, watched fertilization occur, and watched the early cell divisions of brand new baby sea urchins. And for me, that was a revelatory moment when I saw that and came to the realization that that was when life began. I superimposed that construct on humans, and not long after that, I had a bumper sticker on my Volkswagen that said adoption, not abortion. And I've been a right to lifer ever since that time. And that is how I got into right to life issues. I later became a full Christian, and my Christianity, my faith, has informed my biology background, and I like to think I'm a two-punch hitter now.
It's so tragic that the people on the other side completely ignore science. The evidence is more than clear that life begins at conception. I mean, it's just abundantly clear, whether it's through photography, ultrasound, just embryology, all these things, it proves it. But the other side is only focused on the woman's right.
Yes.
They act like the baby does not exist.
Yes.
That must be frustrating for somebody like you, who's a scientist.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better. When they throw the science says at us when it comes to things like vaccination, and then they, as you just said, completely ignore the science that occurs when 23 chromosomes from the daddy combine with 23 chromosomes from the mommy and create a brand new 46 chromosome, unique, individual human being, which I believe has at that time a soul too. And yes, that is frustrating that they do that. And you also mentioned ultrasound and the other science that has been developed that confirms the fact that these are human beings, and we know so much about what goes on in there. I I can tell you that one of the things that really convinced me of what was going on is a book that I first saw back in the early 70s that a child is born, where they were able to look inside of the uterus and see the baby develop there. And when I saw those pictures, that was it. There's no going back. That is a person. So.
Wow, that's great. So you've become a single issue voter too. Don't know why is that, but we have a lot of issues today. We've got, right now we've got, the war in Ukraine. We've got gas prices. We've got baby formula shortages. We've got a lot of different things on our plate as Americans. But a lot of people in the pro-life movement are focused almost exclusively on the right to life, on that baby. So what makes abortion or the pro-life vote so much more important than other issues?
I firmly believe that in the end times, whenever those occur, that's how we're going to be judged, whether or not we are pro-lifers. Those of us that believe abortion is murder are also going to be held to account. So from my faith perspective, I believe that. But if we look at it from society's perspective, what are we doing to our family structure? What are we doing to our children when life has become such a disposable commodity? And as Pope John Paul II said, we are living in a culture of death.
Right, we are.
What is that doing to us as human beings? And as I said, to our children, what's it going to do to our society if we can't continue to propagate ourselves?
Right. We've got these school shootings, and that shooting up in Buffalo where innocent people have been killed by people who are mentally unstable. And violence begets violence. And I really believe that we have taken our culture down to a 50-year path where we have cheapened life.
Yes.
Life is disposable. If you don't like something, you can get rid of it.
Yes.
So now these liberals are in shock that people are living out that kind of violence because we have created it.
Yes.
We've created a culture that like John Paul has said, it's a culture. It's a culture of death.
Yes.
So when people act that out, why should we be surprised?
Right. Yeah, we accept it as part of our gaming, to wipe out 25,000 of the enemy in one sitting at a video game
Right.
that doesn't have any impact on that individual. Baloney.
Right.
That is numbing those people to what the importance of life is. And it's not just at the beginning of life or for school children. It goes through the whole spectrum, all the way up to us old folks.
That's right.
Who someday are going to be relying on somebody just like we did when we were infants to take care of us.
Right. Now, I understand you have been going back to college students of recent times. So what's going on with that, with your experience at Western?
Well, there's a small contingent of right-to-lifers on the Western campus, and they're pretty low-key because that, as with any of the campuses, universities, colleges these days, it's not a popular position to take. But a small group is enthusiastic, and they were receptive to a presentation that I put together to convince them first and then have them take the word out to refuse to sign the petitions that are circulating today, in which Planned Parenthood of Michigan and the ACLU want to change our Constitution, change our state law, so that should Roe versus Wade be reversed, we will become another abortion state like New York and California, and we just cannot afford for that to happen. Mm-hmm. So the word's got to get out that we have got to decline to sign that petition. Mm-hmm. I don't think we can afford to let it get on the ballot in the fall and then have to fight again.
Right, right, right. Well, Jack, I'm going to wrap up things right now. I want to appreciate your allowing me into your home to do this interview.
Honored.
It's
I
always
am
been exciting
honored.
to hear someone with an expertise. It may be veterinary medicine, but life is life. I mean, God has allowed mammals and humans to basically reproduce in very similar ways. And
God's template for us is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but before we do go, of recent vintage, I have been closing my programs the same way, and that is, don't sign that petition. If you have an opportunity of coming across a petition circulator who's trying to get the signatures for this petition drive, don't sign it. Actually, challenge that person, because if that goes before the voters in November, we will be facing an apocalypse, because every single pro-life law enacted in the last 40 years will be nullified if that becomes a part of the Michigan Constitution. With that, I'll let you go. Jack, again, thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.